Thank you guys for joining this session on securing the webhook. So since we have just 15 minutes, so I'll quickly introduce myself. Sandeep Pote. I've been working on Sitecore from last 8 years now, 4 times Sitecore technology MVP, based in UK, in London area. So I'll be talking on the webhook, how to secure the webhook using Auth0 by OKTA. So I'll just give a quick introduction on how to configure the webhook in Sitecore first, and then we'll go through the checklist, some scenarios when we are configuring webhook in Sitecore, and then we'll see how we configured webhook using Auth0. And if time permits, I'll give a quick demo. We'll be focusing more on verifying the source here, so that's why I highlighted this. So now webhook, we know that it's application to application communication, so a machine to machine. So basically, in any application, when an event is fired, a webhook triggers and a webhook URL is called. So why I came here is, a couple of months back, I thought of trying a webhook in Sitecore because I was doing more on the order cloud side, integration events and webhook in the order cloud. But I wanted to see how we configure the webhook in the Sitecore. So it looks pretty easy, where we configure the event triggering, where in the Sitecore we configure event types, like it might be item based or publishing events, which are system based events, and we can filter out those events, like on which specific item that we want to trigger this event. Maybe it's a home and descendants within the home node, or any specific node that that we want the webhook to be triggered. Then configure the URL, webhook URL, where this, which is an event processing. Basically, when the event occurs, event is triggered, it's in Sitecore. The webhook handler or the webhook provider is in Sitecore, but the event processing can be any third-party tool or any custom API implementation. So provide that URL there. So pretty much easy, and provide the serialization type, that what type of data, JSON or the XML that we want to transfer to the event processing or the client app. So pretty much easy configuration in the Sitecore, but when webhook to the client or the destination, how to secure that? That's what I was looking for. And there is a field in the webhook handler, the authorization. So there are different types of authorization that Sitecore provides. So basic, digest, API key, where we provide the API key, and the client should also have the API key. If it matches, then the request goes through, or it's failed request. And then there is a credential grant, password and the client. So I'll focus more on the client credentials grant over here, where we have the Auth0 by OKTA. That's we configure that in the Auth0. Which provides the authentication token. Before I could go to the Auth0, I just wanted to quickly walk through on what all things we should consider before when we are configuring a webhook. So encrypting all the data. So basically, webhook is a HTTP request. It's a plain text. Attackers can intercept those messages. They can see, they can read, the message is visible. So encryption of that data is necessary. So basically, how we can do it is by installing a SSL certificate on the client, so that to ensure that the communication between the webhook and the client is over the HTTPS. So in this way, we can't prevent the visibility, but we can at least prevent the readability of the data. Provide a secure webhook URL if possible. Nowadays, normally, it is a secure URLs. Verify the consumer. So normally what happens is the client verifies the server, but here a webhook, we can also try this out, where the regular TLS allows only client to verify the server, but we can also use the mutual TLS, where the server also verifies client and the client verifies the server. So in this way, the scenario where here is a webhook URL, an attacker can redirect the destination where the request goes. So in this case, if there is a mutual TLS and it goes to the malicious URL, then the authentication fails. So in this way, we can prevent, even though the attacker manages to redirect to a different destination or different URL, we can prevent the request being sent to any other client, because the webhook URL is a public URL, so any other application can call that URL. So we have to consider verifying the consumer, and now verify the message itself. So both the endpoints, the client is secured, the message has been received to the client, and now how to ensure that the message that is received is the genuine. So basically you can do a signature verification on the messages. Basically the webhook passes the text with the signature, and the client then has to deduce the signature or decrypt it, and then compare if the message that is received is a genuine or not. This is where I'll focus more on here, verifying the source. So basically the webhook the client verifies the server. So webhook provider here can help the client to verify themselves by providing the authentication token. So earlier we saw that we provided the webhook URL. So basically when an event is triggered, that URL is called and the data is sent to that particular client. Now the webhook has to do one more thing, where we see the authorization field, and that authorization, if we are configuring that authorization, then basically webhook will have to get the token from the authority. So it can be a OKTA, it can be a Microsoft AD, and in this case it's Auth0. So basically before the webhook URL is called, it goes to the authority URL with some client ID, client secret, some details, and it gets the authentication token, where the client can then verify whether that request is genuine or not. Yeah. The other way also we can do is configure the webhook provider's IP address. So this way we can secure or verify the source. So the earlier, the event triggering is again in the Sitecore, and the webhook URL. So as I said earlier, the webhook then, if you have configured the authorization, the webhook then calls the authority URL. In this case is Auth0, and provides the client ID, client secret, and any other headers details, which will then generate the token, and the event processing or the destination or the client who is consuming the data should then be able to authorize based on those parameters, and then process the request. So how I managed here in Auth0 is I created a machine-to-machine application in the Auth0 where I provided the domain name. It created the client ID, client secret, and any other details, like if I want to provide a domain name or the audience. Now that is configured here in the Sitecore, where I created an authorization item with the client credential, and I provide the authority URL, client ID, and all those details with the optional parameters. It then verifies or validates the client ID and client secret and generates the access token. So webhook now has the access token before it calls the webhook URL. So here how it is, like when it gets the access token, then the webhook can calls a web API. It can be a third-party tool, or it can be a customized implementation. So basically the API in this case should authorize and execute any custom implementation if available. So why I did Auth0, because I was trying this a couple of months ago, like end of last year, December-ish. So it didn't work with the OKTA, and also it didn't work with the Microsoft B2C AD at that time, and it worked with Auth0. So I raised a bug with Sitecore, and I think in the end of Feb there was a release where they rectified, and hopefully it should work. I didn't try it with the Microsoft AD and OKTA, but so that's why I tried with Auth0, where it worked. 5 minutes, So I can quickly give a demo here where how I managed. So this is Auth0, where I have configured an application. It's a machine-to-machine application, and it has, I'll delete this after this demo though. So the domain, the client ID, and the client secret it provides, and also I've configured audience, so any specific URL. In the so I tried this in XM Cloud. So a simple item saved event, and I've configured the rules that it should fire on home and this descendants, and it should call any webhook URL. Yeah. So in this case, it's just I'm trying to see if the request arrives in this endpoint. So the settings for webhook authorization here is the authority URL, which I showed earlier. So this authority URL and the client ID and the client secret with the optional parameter. So when the item is saved, it should then hit the it should then generate a token and provide that token to the client. And in this case, this is the client, or it can be any your API custom API implementation. So let me go and quickly just save something in here, like and save. So you see here, there's a request that came in with the token. Yeah. Now you can take this token in your custom implementation in your API, and you can then verify this token and process the request. Yep. So I think that's it. Go back. Yeah, I think that's it from my side. Thank you.